Hello, happy Saturday to you all, everybody. I am Star Delta 9. I'm coming to you with another video from the Cracked Wide Open series. I wanted to tell you guys thank you so much and welcome to my channel. Thank you for watching and commenting and all the likes and shares. If you're not subscribed, why the hell not? Hit that subscribe button and the bell if you want to get notification if I am going to be doing any lives, videos, grow videos, or anything. Let me see if I can pull up chat here. Give me just a second, please. Go to my channel. Okay. Let me turn that down. Oh, they're running ads on my stuff. So we'll skip that. So how the heck is everyone? How are you? How are you? How are you? Thank you so much for coming in. I really do appreciate it. Happy Saturday to you. I really kind of want to talk about the past week. It's been it's been blissful and it's been painful. I want to talk a little bit about the egoic self and my intuition, because that's kind of what I'm dealing with. Hello. I'm not streaming outside. What do you mean? Outside on the patio? No, it's 102 outside right now, so it's pretty hot. So I thought I would stay inside where it was cool. I also want to just say thank you so much for all your continued support to my channel. My heart is huge with your love and the light that you guys have sent to me through emails, through texts, through Instagram, through my YouTube channel. My heart feels it. And today I want to just speak about just what I've been going through. You guys, I told you I want to do this as I'm going through it so that you can see that it's hard and it's beautiful and it's got all the nuts and bolts to it. So it sounds like David's outside putting the can't even think, the dragon. I would call the lake the dragon, and so he's made a really beautiful sign. So I apologize for the little bit of noise. So egoic. Yeah, well, it's defined in many different ways, but defined as identifying as the ego, as the part of ourself which seeks to defend, to glory, to glorify something, or to be separate, or to separate ourselves from our self-sense. It's kind of a false sense of sense. It's not really who you are. If you look at video number 3 under the Cracked Wide Open series, you will see the ego and the true self, and I kind of define it. And so I kind of want to pose a question to you, and you can tell me which is which. All of us have, I think all of us have some degree of vigilance, wouldn't you say, within us? If we didn't have some sort of vigilance within us, we wouldn't be able to be vigilant parents, vigilant school teacher, a vigilant nurse, someone that's good, that takes pride in what they do. And so I think there's a certain sense of vigilance that's within us. And so when I talk about the ego, the egoic self and the intuition, people are emailing me and asking me, how do I know it's my intuition? How do I know it's my ego? Well, what I've learned this week is a few things, and I've learned it by going through it. I talked about what the ego was last week, and the ego, what it does, how it works, how it is, how strong it is, and it comes on like a freight train. Ego's unconscious. It comes out of nowhere. It's fast, it's furious, and it's vigilant, like I said. And we would recognize this exactly for what it was, ego. It's like if somebody said something to you and it upset you or created an emotion within you, a fear within you, an anger within you, you would respond out of ego. You wouldn't respond out of intuition, because intuition would be, for me, this is for me, And everybody else may be different, but my intuition is calm. It's quiet. It's psst, hey, maybe you should look over here. Or maybe, it's not furious. It doesn't come in like a fucking freight train. It doesn't come out of nowhere. And that's why I tell you, ego is unconscious. And the reason it's unconscious is because it's a behavior, a learned behavior. We have an ego. We know we have an ego, but we have an IE and an ID. We have a higher sense of ourself, right? We know the difference between right and wrong. But when we know our ego is unconscious and it comes out of nowhere fast and furious, and we react upon it versus, I'm going to have to say, respond appropriately. We just kind of react to it. Let's use that. Let's use fear or anger. So if a situation caused you fear or anger, like it did me this week, many situations have caused me anger and fear this week, okay? Or other emotions that I really don't like, which I really don't like, okay? But what's the question? If a situation arises in your life, in your day, in your daily event, and you're going about your business, right? Minding your own business, and some discord comes into your life, okay? You have an option. I can react through my ego, which is probably going to be negative, quick, harmful, probably hurt your feelings, not sound very pretty, and make me look like an asshole, and I might have to eat crow later and come back and apologize to you, because we react out of ego because it's unconscious. We're not even thinking about it. It just is that fast. That's how strong the ego is. So during my spiritual awakening, I had to ask myself, Star, what the fuck really matters most? If I have a situation that I come across today and it causes me some discord, and when I say discord, I mean it might cause me some loneliness, some lack of worthlessness, where I don't feel like I'm going to amount to anything. It might make me scared or fearful, or it might make me angry or anxious, right? I'm going to react on those emotions, okay? Because our thoughts create emotions. And when you have those emotions, you learn a behavior, and that behavior becomes automatic. It's like autopilot, like I was talking about last week. And so I started to have to recognize to myself and ask myself two questions. One, is my ego my spiritual teacher? It is. It And I don't mean this in any disrespect. Everything that I'm wanting to find, everything answer that I'm wanting answered to a question, I'm finding it within me. Okay? And it's all been fear-based, all been based on a self-limiting belief that I had in my subconscious mind or my ego, a trained, learned, whatever you want to say, behavior that was an automatic response. I was taught that. I was taught how to do that. And sometimes, and I'm not saying this by any disrespect by any means, because sometimes as children, when we do this, it's called a coping mechanism, and we use it to cope. It's fragmentation. If a situation comes to us and when we're a child and we're maybe in the 3rd or 4th grade and we really don't know all about emotions and how to deal with them and put them together and really use them to our benefit so that both parties can benefit from it positively, we learn to fragment at a very young age. And that is why we have part of the ego. When you are at the age of 0 to 7 or 8 years old, you don't have any of those emotions. You're being taught those emotions. You're being taught fear, abandonment, worthlessness, problems that create emotions that teach us a learned behavior that create us to respond in a negative 9 times out of 10 uh, response. So I had to start asking myself, one, is your ego and your vanity and your self-limiting belief your spiritual teacher? Because you know the left side of your head is the male brain. It's the left side of your brain is the male brain. The right side is the female brain. You know, you have the masculine and the feminine. If you, by the way, if you guys want me to do some of those astrology videos and show you those, I can, and I'd love to do them because that I love that. That's one of my gigs. I really do enjoy that. So I had to ask myself that question, and I had to ask myself, what is your state of consciousness when this issue arises in your life? When I notice the anger, the fear, or the whatever the emotion is that's creating this behavior or this thought that creates an action out of me quickly like that, I had to ask myself, what kind of conscious state are you in? Because the subconscious is not a conscious state, it's a learned state. The left side is memories, past, you know, it's childhood, it's what you remember, it's happy times, it's sad times, it's what you've learned, it's what you remembered, it's your subconscious mind, and it's your egos over there, you know. The left brain is not the thinking brain as far as the creativity, that, you know, the good side of the brain. It's and I don't mean it in any disrespect for male or female, because it's called polarity. You know, we have to have both. It's the yin and the yang. Women have masculine sides, men have feminine sides. Whether they say they do or don't, it's neither here nor there. They do. It's called polarity. You know, if you look at the astrology wheel, you will see your sign, and the opposite sign is polarity. It's going to be duality. It's going to be just the exact opposite of you. So I had to begin to ask myself, some of this learned behavior that you've learned over the years that's not served you, are you consciously aware of that what you're doing? Because ego again is unconscious. So when I respond quickly and it just goes and I vomit verbally all over somebody, that's my ego. That is unconscious, and I'm probably not even thinking about what I'm saying. I'm just talking about a learned behavior, and I am behaving the way I was taught to behave. And 9 times out of 10, it comes out negatively. So if some discord arises in one's life, which causes him or her to react negatively, because it's so fast and abrupt, and you can go down that nasty road, you know, you can go down that nasty road very, very quickly. You can go down that road and go, shit, now I gotta eat crow. No, now I gotta go back and eat crow. Now I gotta go back and I gotta apologize because I was not being very kind. I was responding out of a reaction that wasn't true. Because if you go back and you look at the situation, in hindsight, you know how they say hindsight's 2020? It's the truth. You go back at the situation and you look at it again and you go, probably shouldn't have reacted that way. But do you ever ask yourself, why did you do that? Why did you react that way? So those two questions brought another question. How am I reacting or responding to a situation? I'd like to talk about changing this because I've come to realize a few things. If ego is unconscious and it comes up so quick, can I stop it in its tracks? I mean, if I am unconsciously vomiting all over somebody, hurting their feelings, creating a negative problem and negative emotions and behavior, can I take a second and take a deep breath, or even a minute or so, and say, why is my top all crooked? You guys should have told me that. Who cares? If I say, how am I reacting to it? If I say, in the instance, let me use an example so you can really get the validity of what I'm talking about. Okay. I had a situation that made me really angry. Okay. The situation and the details are neither here nor there. It just created anger in me. And when it created the anger in me, I began to say things aloud. And when I said those things aloud, for the first time, I could hear what I was saying as they were coming out of my mouth. And thank you, Jesus, they weren't coming out of my mouth in front of that person. Okay? Because had they, I would be going back and apologizing for my behavior. But what I found, that's golden. It's golden. This is life changing. If you can take 2 minutes and step back, just step back and say, okay, this situation is making me angry. Why is this situation making me angry? And am I reacting out of ego? And if I am, and I can recognize it, it's no longer ego. It is a behavior or an emotional pattern from self-limiting belief and things I've taught myself of ways to operate and cope throughout my lifetime. No fault of my own. But if I know better, I said it all the time, and I'm going to keep saying it. If you know better, you do better. Yes? So hello everybody, thank you so much. I'm sorry I haven't been paying attention to chat. I'm trying to stay concentrated because my mind is running at 90 miles an hour, and I want to tell you guys so many things and share so many things with you, but I have to piece them together where they make sense to me, and to where I'm actually using them as a modality. So because I'm not going to tell you to do something that's not going to work. And I'm telling you, I don't even know how many days in I'm now. I don't even know. Doesn't matter. Because the spiritual awakening is ongoing. It's never going to stop. You're always going to be learning. But you're always going to have this ego, and it's always going to be fast and abrupt, and it's going to be nasty and negative, and it's going to be all those things. But here's the kicker. You, me, as an individual, can step back and say, how am I responding to that? If you ask yourself that question, how am I responding to that, and why? Why? Haven't you ever gone to somewhere, a party, a grocery store, or even a gas station and got gas, and somebody passed you and they said something and they lit your ass on fire and you don't have a clue why? Ego. It's fast, it's abrupt, and it comes on like a freight train, and it don't give two shits whose feelings it hurts. But if you can recognize it and say, why did that person make me so mad? I don't even know that person. They just walked by me and they said 2 words, and now I'm lit up like I want to kick their butt or something, right? Now I've recognized that behavior or that emotion, because that emotion created a behavior in me. That behavior caused me to react out of ego. And not my truer self, not oneness with God, not in sharing an exchange with an individual. When you share an exchange with an individual, you're supposed to get something out of the conversation, and they're supposed to get something. It's called give and take, right? Well, we all know we live in a society of takers. Take, right? And some of us are huge empaths, and we give. And people know it. But it doesn't make me right and them wrong, or them right and me wrong. It makes us fucking both wrong, because one, I don't want to be a victim. And if I am reacting out of that, and I am reacting out of ego, I'm always your victim. You're always doing something to me. You're creating this. You caused this. You made me do that. Bullshit. You didn't do anything. You didn't cause anything. I allowed you to because of my own self-limiting belief. You understand what I'm saying to you guys? So if I can recognize that anger and say, little girl, what is it that you're so mad about over here? Because that person you don't know You don't know why you're angry. They said 2 words and now you are lit and your whole day is gone, right? Well, now I've recognized that's not ego anymore because ego's unconscious. Now I'm consciously aware of the fact that I'm behaving that way. Now I've got an opportunity. I can stop that shit in its tracks. Bam, bam. So that's how you stop it in its tracks. Is it easy? No, because ego is so quick and so devastating that, it'll pop up anywhere, anytime. And once it pops up, if you acknowledge it each time, I'm here to, this is exciting. This is exciting. I can't even tell you how exciting this is. All week, I've been putting this method to the test. Okay. I have been, in the reality of the 3D world, we are going to have stuff in our realm that's not going to please us. That's not going to go our way. That people are just not going to behave the way they're supposed to behave. And there's nothing you can do about it. You're powerless over it. You're powerless over them. Okay. But I'm not powerless over me. I'm not powerless over how I behave. I'm not powerless over how I exchange with you. I'm not powerless over anything that I give permission to give to you. I'm not going to give you my power. I'm not going to walk in a store, or I don't want to walk in a store and have a person walk by and be having a conversation with another individual and say something and light me on fire and me react to it. And I know you all know somebody like that. We've all done it. So now I can stop it in my tracks. And I've tested it all week. And here's what happened. The beginning of the week, it took like an hour, maybe longer, to settle myself down, right? And then Tuesday something came up, right? And it took maybe 40 minutes. Recognized, stopped it, changed it, rewrote the script, looked at the situation. Come Thursday, 10 minutes. 10 minutes. Wasn't he really mad? Didn't have any emotions that were creating a behavior because I was catching it quicker. 10 minutes. My dog, he's got some issues going on with his ears where he's had some chronic problems with his ears his whole life. I'm powerless over it. There's nothing I can do about it. It's going to cost me money. There's nothing I can do about it. I can respond. And so I took that situation today and I said, let's see how long it takes me. 2 minutes. And my vet and my I don't know what her name is. She's the receptionist. Both said to me, wow, Delta, you're not going to bitch us out. You're not going to. Because, I'm trying to stick up for my dog in the past. See how I just did that? That's ego. That's behavior. That's explaining my behavior. And if I can catch that, I know it's a behavioral pattern that I have, or an emotional pattern that I have taught myself. And that emotional pattern has created a behavior. And I take my physical body and I do it. So we know what a spontaneous reaction is, right? We know we can pop off at an instant, right? That's ego. What if this happened? What if you could say, it's not the right response? Just that simple word. That's not the right response. Take a second look. Step back and look again. And I realized that it's what it is. It's a behavioral. It's a pattern. It's an emotional pattern that I am displaying. And once I have realized it's behavioral or emotional, it's no longer unconscious and I'm aware of it and it's no longer ego. And if I'm not operating on ego, ego's not running me. Right? So when you go through a spiritual awakening, and go back to the question where I said, is my ego, my vanity, and now I'm going to add any self-limiting belief that I have picked up along my way in my life from school teachers, parents, husbands, wife, girlfriends, children, what have you, okay? I no longer have to operate on that. That's not who I am. That is not serving me and the greater good of mankind. That's not serving me and the other person. And if I have a behavioral problem or emotional problem, I know that I'm acting, that is conscious, something I'm consciously aware of. And I've told you guys how many times on my channel, you know better, you do better. My ego, I want to ask you a couple questions. Are you being a witness to anything? Like I started to say, things like, when I would step back, I'd go, just look at this picture. Just take a peek. Are you looking at it and witnessing it as a witness, or are you fucking observing what's happening? There's a difference, I think. I really think there's a difference. And I don't know 100% what that difference is yet, but here I've noticed certain things about it. Like, if I observe it, the only way I can explain this is I read a book. When did I read that book? I read a book. I can't tell you when I read it. Probably, I don't know, 10 years, maybe 8 years ago. It's the Here and Now, or something like that, by Eckhart Tolle. I'm going to use his expression because I don't know anything else to use. We know we have a mind, we have a physical body, right? He calls our body the pain body. I should go back and read that book, but it's at Mister's house in storage. Shoot. Anyway, he refers to our body as a pain body, right? If we have emotions that cause depression and anxiety or isolation or worthlessness or all those nasty, ugly, negative things that we can create, that's going to cause my body to feel ugly. Depression doesn't feel good. Anxiety doesn't feel good. Self-loathing and hating yourself and saying that you're worthless and you're just never going to amount to anything, and what's the point anyway, it's not helping. It wasn't helping me. Okay. And I can only use a couple things as examples. I was talking to my spiritual teacher, and I was saying, and I don't mean this in any disrespect to my parents, okay? So please do not take it that way, because our parents did the best they could do with what they knew, period. And we're powerless over it, okay? So my father never finished the 3rd grade, and he was a long-distance truck driver. And he was a very loving man, but he was an alcoholic. And he would tell us things like, I love you, but go the F away. Or, don't lie. If you lie, I'm going to whip your tail twice as hard and twice as long if you just tell the truth and admit you did something wrong. You know, kind of a guilt and shame thing. And I love you, but pushes you away. And it was because he was trying to make a living and raise 5 children. And I was kind of like in his hip pocket because my brother passed away before I was born. So my dad and I kind of latched on to each other because he had lost his junior son, you know. And now I'm like I said, I'm not blaming my parents. And my mother was a nurse. And so she was trying to do her part in the family and raise kids. And so I'm sure over the course of my childhood growing up, I cannot remember any detrimental really traumatic events that some children experience in their lifetime. Okay, but to what defines a traumatic experience to a child? Go back to the story of cutting the umbilical cord with the child and removing him from the mom and placing him in another room. Abandonment, fear, and loneliness, and they don't know why, and they fragment. So it's no fault of the mother, the doctor, or the new baby, but the baby was born with all five senses. So it's no fault of anyone's really. It's the way it was. It was what it was, but it is not what it is. And if you can know better and you can do better, it's going to serve you. The ego, our body feels it when we are angry or upset, don't you think? Or when you're fearful or you feel negative emotions and shit like that, your body feels it. And we've taught ourselves to suffer. We've taught ourselves to suffer for the sake of suffering. Just for the sake of suffering. Because if you look back and you really start to ask yourself some really important questions, where'd you get that thought? Where'd you get that belief? Where did you learn that behavior? Someone had to show you it. Because you can't take a 6-year-old child and put him in front of a Lamborghini and say, drive it, child. Because the child's not going to know how to drive it. They're probably not even going to know what the real validity of a car is. Do you understand what I'm saying? And you're going to want to put that child in it and say, drive it. So do you understand my point when I say it doesn't make anybody right and it doesn't make anybody wrong. But we as souls here on this 3D plane, God, we love to make ourselves suffer. And I ask you, I'm going to beg you to ask yourself that question. What is the point? Is it serving you? I'm not conscious in the present moment if I'm acting on ego. If I am all consumed in my pain body and my ego out of learned behavior that I was taught, I'm not living my true, authentic self. I'm not being the best person I can be today. How could I possibly be a good mom? I couldn't. How can I possibly be a good lover, a good wife, a good teacher, a good nurse? How could I be any of those things if I am operating on that level? And I began to question the very essence of those beliefs. Where did I get those beliefs? And sometimes, my friends, I have to tell you, you may have to just say to yourself, I don't know where I got that. I don't know why I believe that, because what you take up from 1 to 7 is what you learn. That's the learned behavior you're going to use in your adulthood. And that inner child within you, between that ages of 1 and 7, they don't grow with the adult the way we do. They don't. I mean, I'm a grown adult, but I have a child inside. I literally have a child inside. So I go back and say, my vanity, my ego, my learned behavior that was created by emotions that someone made me feel and think, by making me feel pushed aside, by saying I love you but go away, those types of things, or my teacher slapping me in the hand with the ruler, or somebody having a fist fight on the playground. It could be a gamut of things that we fragment emotions on, learn those emotions are based on that incident specifically, and that we will take that behavior that we learned from that one incident. That one incident was so devastating to us at that age and that place and that time or that event, that we took it into our mind and we learned a behavior based on that emotion. And that behavior created you to act created me to act in a way that's not cohesive. It's not positive. It's not giving. It's suffering. It's causing suffering to yourself, to myself, to the person that you are coercing with. You know, I had to notice certain patterns about behaviors through this spiritual awakening, and I really had to begin asking some tough questions. And so that's why I say, when people say, or they'll email me and they say, spiritual awakening, that's awesome. That must be something, I keep telling my spiritual teachers, everything I'm learning is an oxymoron. On one hand, it has a purpose, and on this hand, it does not. But everything is an oxymoron. Having a spiritual awakening is a beautiful, blissful thing. Don't get me wrong. I wouldn't trade it for anything. Nothing. Nothing. Hand to God. I would not trade it for nothing. But this brings up a really good question to ask. It's not an easy process. The inner work that you have to do, the shadow side, when you talk about the astrology wheel and you talk about the 7 days and the time, the same exact hours, 12 hours in the day, 12 hours at night, and you start combining all those things together, if you're me, because that's my world, astrology, tarot, it's always been part of my world, but mainly astrology, because I follow the planets. I believe in the way, I believe philosophy, the way it was written eons ago, the way that and I think it was covered up through political, religion, family, government, and they did it deliberately. So when I say it's no fault of our own that we have learned some pretty, questionable emotions, and we've taken those emotions and we've created a behavior and we've responded and reacted on it, and we've hurt ourselves, we've hurt other people, we've lost relationships, we've lost friendships. I'm sure you've lost friendships. I've lost friendships. Thoughts cause emotions, and those emotions will form a behavior. And so here's where I had to ask myself, when this situation arose, was I the observer, or was I witnessing something? Was I witnessing an event that was happening? Because if I'm witnessing something, it's my subconscious probably. And where is the pain? As the witness, I got to ask myself, where's the pain? Where are you feeling this? Are you hurting in your heart? Is this giving you a headache? Are you stressed out? What's the pain causing? What is it that's causing you this pain? Where is this pain? And I asked myself, where do I feel the discomfort or the emotion? Where's it coming from? Because when you ask anybody, if you ask anybody, have they been in counseling for depression or anxiety, and they'll tell you depression's painful. I know isolation depression can be painful, and I've never been treated for clinical depression, but through the spiritual awakening, you find you're isolating yourself and feeling like you're closing in on some sort of depression, and it's not until you work that out that what you're doing is you got your butt glued to the seat because you're afraid to go out into the environment because you don't know how you're going to respond. And when you have a spiritual awakening, it's it's not my job to wake everyone. It's not my job. It's my job to, when I work or talk with someone and I have a friend or a family or a coworker or someone in my realm, if I am sharing an exchange with them on a mental, soul, physical level that is beneficial to them and to myself in a positive way, that is a beautiful exchange. That's life. That's living oneness with God. That is living in the consciousness, not in the subconscious, not in some idiotic, stupid crazy behavior and emotion that you don't even know where you got in the first place. So ask yourself, am I the witness or am I observing it? Because the observer can become aware of the discord or the behavior or the emotional pattern, like I said. And I've learned to teach myself some coping mechanisms. It's not easy to do this because I know some of you, if you go out and try this today, if something, hey everybody, if something makes you, I don't know, just roosts you, just upsets you, makes you angry, causes some anxiety, before you respond, if you can, because it's hard, because I tell you, I'm going to tell you again, because I cannot reiterate this enough. Your ego is unconscious. Okay. But the minute you become aware of that behavior, it is no longer unconscious, and you are now consciously aware that you are behaving in a way that's not appropriate, nor good for you or the other. And then you have to ask yourself some serious questions. Where did I get that? Is it my fault? Because that's the first thing you're going to say. Oh God, I'm a terrible person to respond to someone like that. No. You're a human being that's fragmented emotions and feelings based on events or trauma or situations that you have dealt with in your life, just like me. And you have fragmented those emotions, and we call it a coping mechanism. And you take that, and once you take that and you put it into your brain and you say, that emotion made me feel this way. That is learned behavior. You are teaching yourself that that emotion is creating that behavior. So in order to change the behavior, you have to change the emotion. The only way you can change the emotion is to catch it. Catch it. It's like a fly that's flying around in your room, and it's driving you crazy because you're trying to do something and it won't leave you alone, and you're trying to swat it, with a fly swatter. Ask yourself, where do I feel the discomfort? My protein shake. Why am I feeling discomfort? When you isolate, it's because you don't. It's not because you're afraid. It's because you don't want to be anywhere. Does that make sense? Yes, it does. And here's another thing. If you choose, you guys have to keep me on track because I have an appointment at 3. I have to talk to someone. If you, I can only use me, Jen, as an example. I have a serious regimen of meditation. My roommate knows it's about 2 hours in the morning and usually 2 hours at night. And if I have that, my little thing on and it says "Do not disturb," it means don't disturb me, because it's when you have a spiritual awakening. If everyone can have a spiritual awakening like this, I would say have it, do it. It's going to happen. It's going to happen before you pass this 3D realm. Before you leave this 3D world, you're going to have some kind. Otherwise, you're going to just be in limbo until you find oneness with God. So some of these things that I'm telling you and that other spiritual teachers out here on Google are telling you, please, you guys, just take heed the messages. You have free will. You have free will. You can close yourself in a room 10 minutes and do anything you want and nobody knows. It's just you and your higher self, right? But when you get into this and you get a spiritual awakening that comes on like this did, you don't have a choice. You don't have a choice. And you can be awakened and enlightened and spiritually awakened on your own with free will. And you can work yourself into the process so it doesn't feel like that freaking tower moment that I had. Because when your world comes down and everything crashes around you that you believed was true or loved or thought that meant anything to you, and it is gone in the blink of a light being turned on, Divine will drag me, kicking and screaming. That's what she tells me. I'm going to drag you kicking and screaming. You can take all that baggage and that crap over there that you have attached to that fire hydrant that's cemented in the ground if you choose to. But I'm dragging you. And as long as I'm pulling you and I'm dragging you by that chain, that ego, that bondage, that worthlessness, all those self-limiting beliefs that you have taught yourself, that is your subconscious ego saying you're never going to amount to shit or be anybody or do anything. All those ugly things we tell ourselves in our rooms or wherever we tell ourselves those things, you know what I'm talking about. It won't be until you face those things head on. Look them in the eye, because the bottom line is this: I am only responsible for me when I die. My lover, my mother, my child, my grandmother, my dog is not the one that's going to stand before Divine and account my life and say, did you do what you were sent to earth to do? Did you serve your soul's purpose? And if you didn't, why? Why? And if you don't look at any of the Old Testament or any of the, I'm not saying that all of the biblical is false. There's a lot of very, very good information in there. And when God says it's get ready, it's coming. Get ready. It's coming. It's coming. And it's going to be based on you and your free will. Now it's the thing I just want to emphasize with you guys about this is that if my videos sound scattered to you, I'm sorry. I am. I really am. Because I'm trying to deliver them the best way I know how without having any outside literature or books or information from an outside source given to me. When I do this, I write my own notes. I can show you books of notes. I'm not talking about daily writing, because I'm bucking that. But I'm talking just notes. And when you start to take that puzzle and you put those pieces together, it creates a picture. My friends, we honestly, go to any spiritual teacher's channel, any of them, and ask them where we are. Where are we? Who am I? Where am I? You literally need to ask yourself those questions, because I'm going to tell you where you are. You are in the 3D realm, and we are in the new age of Aquarius. And if you don't think astrology has anything to do with your oneness with God and the sun and the moon and all that stuff, I can't convince you otherwise until you see it for yourself, until you experience it for yourself. But I'm going to tell you, if someone came to me and said, I got the golden tip. I can get you into the gates of heaven. I can show you how to live oneness, consciousness with God every single day. Will it be perfect? Oh, you're a human being. you're going to fuck up. And God's going to be there, and your ego's going to be there because it's going to say, see, I told you you were going to fuck up. You just don't listen to me. Ego, okay? So don't be hard on yourself, because there's no reason to be hard on yourself. Trust me, I know. I am one stubborn woman. Stubborn. You know, control. That's all nursing. It's all nursing. Anytime I was on a scene, I had complete control, from airway to call it, they're dead. That's the control I had. So when you take that away and I don't have any control anymore, you don't think that was damaging to my ego? You don't think I didn't fragment that shit in my head to where I created situations where, oh, I'm not important anymore. I'm just nothing. I'm worthless. And I could be off on that paddy wagon, going, pour me another drink. But you see what I'm saying? Are you operating on your ego? That's what I'm asking. And if you're operating on your ego, you have a chance now by what I've just said to you. And I know Eckhart Tolle, I want to give this gentleman props. I have to tell you, when I read, there's another gentleman I read his books too. It's called The Conversations with God. It's a series of 3 books, but I read them like 8 years ago. And I literally, in the second book on his, put them down because they went right the heck over my head. Okay? And they're in Mister's house, and I have no access to them. So I can't even refer to them, and it's really irritating me. But that's the ego, because I could go buy one, right? And the other 2 that I purchased was, I want to say one of them is called The Power of Now. And I think Eckhart Tolle has a first book, but I cannot tell you the name. I'm sorry. I can post a link of both of the writers. They have great books. I so want to go back and read those books. I read all 3 of those books. The Conversations with God, it's a series of 3. I only got to the second book, like the 10th page, and I was like, I have no clue what he's talking about. None. I can't even comprehend what the man is saying to me. Okay? And Eckhart Tolle, I got that book. When did I buy that book? I think I bought that book because one of the nurses at in the unit said, hey, you should get that book. Okay, I'll get the book. I read it. Probably, I don't even think I read the whole book. I think I probably read 20 pages of the book and closed it and didn't read anymore. So, but no, I might have read more than that, because the one thing I did remember was the pain body. He talked about the pain body. Was it? I don't know. You'll have to get them. I am so sorry, because I don't want to have outside input. If I need input on a question that I have, if I'm saying to someone, if I want to like talk out something that I'm going through, and then I say, well, you could tell me if I'm crazy, or you could tell me if I'm on the right track. Don't tell me any more than that, because me, I'm a why person, and that's the worst person you can try to be, because sometimes you're not going to know why. And part of this spiritual awakening that's happening to me, some of these things that I've learned over here, and these behaviors and these things, these emotions that aren't true, I don't know where I got them. Can't remember where I got them. And I don't even know why I have some of them. And I'm sure some of them may even have been in my nursing career. You know how doctors try to make nurses feel less than? Well, then we're the ones that are on the trauma base saving lives, not you. We're the ones that's catching you give false doses or giving overdoses with your written orders. We're the ones that are covering your ass, but we were always the ones that were pushed aside and the lowest paying person on the totem pole, but we were the ones that were saving their lives. You know? We were the ones administering the drugs. We were the ones doing the CPR. You were standing there thinking you are giving orders out of a book. Book smart doesn't save lives. Street smart and wisdom. And you don't learn that by osmosis. It don't happen by osmosis. I'm sorry to tell you that. That might be a rude awakening for a lot of people. You got to ask yourself some really tough questions, really uncomfortable. Where did I get that emotion? I'd look at that and I'd just go, look at it. Just look at it without even any action. Just look at it, become aware of it. It's a behavior and an emotional pattern at that point, and it's no longer ego. And if it's a behavioral pattern or an emotional pattern and you can stop it in its tracks, that's half the battle right there. And I told you, it's not easy to do, but it will get easier. It'll get easier. I literally took it to the test because I knew this week was going to be very trying to me. In fact, until the 7th of next month, it's going to be very trying regarding my divorce. And I can respond the way I'm supposed to respond with oneness of God, or I can be right over here. Because I always, what's the Bible say? You sit at the right hand of God. I want to sit here. Oneness. Because even through all of this pain, discomfort, shadow work, crying, even through everything that I have endured at this point, I would do it again, and hands down, because I know what is on the other side. When you're in it, in the beginning, you can't even spell your name. Okay? And so when I say I apologize for things sounding scattered a tad, I'm so sorry. I'm sincerely sorry. I'm doing the very best I can to get the information across to you as accurately as I can. And I might be using some wrong words, like witness, like, because I'm thinking as a nurse or a cop, because I emergency trauma. Am I witnessing a scene where I'm coming up on a scene and there's a gentleman that's standing over a body and he has a knife in his hand? That's going to make my pain body, my heart quicken. It's going to make me nervous and anxiety. So that's what I mean when I'm saying I'm witnessing it. Or am I stepping back as me, as an observer, and going, am I looking at that situation? Am I really seeing that situation? Because that person just walked by me and said 2 words, and I'm lit up. And I could chase him down with a grocery cart right now and run him over with it. That's how pissed I got. And I know you know what I'm talking about. I know you know what I'm talking about. And I'm going to do some videos because you think a spiritual awakening isn't work, it's work. It's not only inner work on yourself, but it's work that you're supposed to give and deliver to other people. So Divine knows I'm a nurse. Divine knows I'm a respiratory therapist. Divine knows I've done it for fucking 40 years. Okay? I know the human body. We are trained to go on a scene and assess a body from head to toe, 10 seconds. And to put me first on scene and be the therapist and the nurse to call shots, it's a pretty tough position to be in. And I loved it. And I was good at it. Very good at it. And so I know the human body. And when I tell you things that are going to blow your mind, and that just has to do with your pituitary gland, hormones. You have 1,400 hormones in your body. And I guarantee you, I guarantee you, if you are anything like me or any other soul that's walking around sleeping, your pituitary is not functioning. You're not releasing any DMT. You're not releasing any oxytocin. You're not sleeping. You're not releasing any melatonin, any serotonin. You're not, nothing, nothing. Your thymus gland is completely closed. Your pituitary is functioning on a fight or flight operation, period, nothing else. And your third eye, completely closed. And when the only reason I want to share this portion of it is because look at my skin. Now, yeah, I have a little makeup on, but I mean, that's called cell regeneration. Cell regeneration. Look at what our bodies are made of. Your body is a literal machine. Your brain is literally the computer that runs this machine. And if this machine is not operating the way it's supposed to be operating, your soul, your literal soul is shut down. None of your emotional centers or chakras, as you call them, whatever you choose to call them, are opened, are functioning, are firing. And if you can't feel anything in those centers, you're operating probably on your left brain. You're not operating in your oneness with consciousness of God, because you don't feel an emotion. You're operating on a behavior, on a learned behavior that causes an action because an emotion that you fragmented throughout your lifetime for whatever reason, you learned and created a behavior and a thought pattern, and that thought pattern is what created that behavior. And you just started acting, and that acting was knowledge, and that was your truth, and you began to live that truth, whether it was true or not true. Okay, I have things happening in my body I've never experienced in my life. You think, and I don't give two shits who knows that. I'm not perfect. I'm a human being just like you, just like everyone else. I walked around sleepy. Now I'm awake. And I can't go back to sleep, nor would I want to go back to sleep. And I am now on a mission. And when you think about what you do in life, I grow. It's a God-given plant. I'm an apothecary. I use organic, pet-friendly, organic, vegan-friendly products. God-given. I'm a nurse. I'm a giver. I'm a caregiver. And now I'm awake. So now I'm a spiritual teacher. I'm a Reiki, not a master, but I'm a Reiki healer. I do Reiki. These are all gifts. These are not mine. These are gifts that I have obtained through my lifetime, and I've been given by God, divine source. And so I'm a conduit. I'm not a healer. I'm nothing. I'm no one or nobody. I'm not any different than you are or any better than you are. I'm a speck, just like you are, trying to reach the ultimate oneness with God and to live in a more harmonious environment. Is that not what we want? God says in the Bible, what you want is your God-given right to have abundance in life. Everything you want is here. You live in the 3D realm. That's actually a goddamn playground for you. You are the avatar. Are you writing your script? Or are you letting someone else write it for you? Because I'm here to tell you, I let somebody write mine for me for a long time. And I feel shame. I feel guilt that I didn't see it sooner. Does it make it wrong? No. The only way I have to look at it now is that it wasn't my time to see it then. The lesson that I needed to learn, the vanity, the ego that kept popping up, that I continually repeated over and over and over and wasn't learning, finally hit me in the head with a baseball bat and said, bitch, learn. Now I've learned. Now I do better. If you know better, you do better. So I'm not going to be the blow smoke up your ass spiritual teacher. When I get this all together and I feel like I have some, I can't even use that word. I have to pick my words carefully because what you, I don't want to put anything out there that shouldn't be, you know. So when I get this all together, I will start doing some training videos where you guys can just go bit, 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 and step, 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 step. But I just want you to understand that's not how it works. You can go to anyone's channel and they can give you that step by step by step. And 9 times out of 10, what it did for me was it made me 10 times more confused than I was when I went there in the first place. And that's why I don't want any outside. I went to the church. Nothing. Went to spiritual people that weren't awake. Nothing. I went to the library. Nothing. Went to the internet. Nothing. I just came back with a handful of shit that I was going, now I'm even more confused. Now I have even more stuff that I have to try to work out. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it. But so I don't want the outside influence. If I feel like I need something, I will ask for it. It's my right. I have the desire to use my brain, my body, and my mind to go out into the world and get what I want and have the best, beautiful, abundant life that God has said I could have when I was born. And I'm doing it. And is it going to sound perfect? No. Is it going to come out right? Probably not. Is it going to make sense? I hope. I hope. But what I do believe 100% without doubt is that my authenticity, my honesty is coming through. I'm not going to lie to you. Never lied to you since day one on my channel. I'm not going to start now. I was that girl that if you lied to your daddy, you got your ass kicked twice as hard. Remember I told you that at the beginning of this video? So a girl didn't lie. A girl learned quick. Even if she fragmented that behavior, she learned quick not to tell it. So I appreciate you guys stopping by. Please share the video. I do have an appointment I have to get to. I will probably come on tomorrow and do a little bit of a video with the 420 community because they're missing me as well, and talk about some lights and some other stuff. I just wanted to share some information with you guys and see how you are. I know everyone thought I was MIA and missing in action. It's just been a very difficult 10 days, 9 days actually. And I'm trying to stay in the moment, in the oneness with God. And some days I'm still in oneness with God, but I'm not a very nice person to be around because I'm fighting with my own self because I can't seem to get the hell out of my own damn way. Some things will come up and you hang on to them like they're goddamn lifelines. And they're not lifelines. They're not. So if you guys have any questions, please reach out to me. Email me. Share the video. Hit the thumbs up. Because you never know who's looking for this information. And if I can get this out to one person, that it helps. If one thing I say helps you and brings some peace and gives us an exchange to where I can give you something to benefit your life and help you to find oneness with God, divine, doorknob, whatever you call it, then I've done my job. And I might not get it all right, and I'm again going to apologize for that, but I'm human and I'm flawed. But I'm going to give it to you as honesty and as clearly as I possibly can without any outside influence other than my spiritual teachers, because they've been through it. A book hasn't been through it. I'm sure Eckhart Tolle and the other writer that I've read has had a spiritual awakening, because I've since gone to their channel on YouTube and seen them, and so I'm like, girl, could have done this years ago. But I wasn't ready, I guess. You guys, I love you so, so much. I'm going to go handle my business today and take care of that so I don't have to worry about anything. My dog's done. He's home. He's safe. And I'm going to go handle the rest of my business. But I wanted to come out and give you a short video and say, hey, 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 I'm still alive. I'm still kicking. I'm still oneness with God. It's not worn off. It's not going away. Girl, don't go back. I love you guys so, so much. You guys stay in bliss if you can. If you can. Namaste. Thank you so much.